Hello, everyone. Good evening to you. Good evening. Happy to have everybody who is tuning in on this evening. Look forward to talking to you all about financial literacy. As usual, you already know the conversation. It's the first of the month. If you're around somebody, just go ahead and tell them right now. You already know it's the first of the month. So it's the first of the month. So we know what we need to talk about right now. And because it's the first of the month, we need to find out, are we prepared for this month? Are we prepared for what this month may bring financially? Are we doing all the necessary things to make sure that we are at our best financially? So it's the first of the month budget check in. And so I'm just going to quickly run down some things that we can do to make sure that we are financially set and in a good place for the month of August. Just some basic house rules that we can do financially, basic budgeting, fundamentals, checklist principles, some things that you can go through early in this month to get on track. So, right now, of course, if you know there's someone else that needs to get some finances together, if you know someone that needs to get their budget on track, go ahead and just share this information. If you're on Facebook, listening in, go ahead and share this on your Facebook page. If you're on YouTube, of course, and you haven't subscribed, go ahead on YouTube and subscribe. But we're getting ready to talk about some basic fundamental things you can do as it is the 1st of August to prepare your budget so that you can have financial success in the month of August. I am Coach Steele. I am the financial voice of the people. So it's time to tune in and listen in as we talk about financial literacy and getting your budget together for the month of August. And so if you already have your budget together, cool. Share this, tag someone so that they can get logged in and stop someone. Let's say somebody's getting ready to borrow some money from you this month. Go ahead and share this with them. Go ahead and lock them in on this. Tell them they need to tune in. If somebody's getting ready to ask you for money and you know it, maybe they need to listen to this in advance. So we talk about some basic fundamentals about financial literacy. It's the first of the month check-in with Coach Steele's finance training. If you're not a team member already, go ahead on YouTube and subscribe to Coach Steele's finance training. That's the name of the channel. And of course, you can also find it at Coach Steele Finance. So, first of the month check-in. Let's begin. Let's go down the list of some things we can do to improve our budget early on for the month of August. So, my first question to everybody listening in, whether you're on YouTube or whether you're on Facebook, it's time to log in. My first question is, what are some things that you are doing right now to prepare you and your budget to have success for the month of August? What are some things you're doing right now to make sure that you have success in the month of August? Go ahead and write it in the comment section. If you're on YouTube, write it in the chat. What are some things that you're doing to have some success financially in the month of August? Have you gone over your numbers yet? Have you pulled out what your total expenses are for the month? Have you estimated what you have coming in? Have you made necessary sacrifices? Have you even made a grocery list for when you go shopping? We already know if we go to the grocery store and we go shopping and we cook this month in the house, we'll save way more money than, of course, going out to eat every day or every other day. Have you made a grocery list, a shopping list, so that when you go into the halls of Walmart, when you go into the doors of Food Line and Kroger and Costco and Target, all these other places, you have to have that list ready. If you go in that store without the list, what will happen? Somebody tell me, if you go in the grocery store without that shopping list, what normally happens? I know what happens to me. I end up wandering around that store a little bit longer than I need to. I end up picking up things that I didn't necessarily need. So, one of the things you can do for the first of the month, if you haven't already, is prepare a good grocery list. Prepare a grocery list that makes sense too. Don't just write down a list of items. When you really are planning to go shopping and you want to make sure that you make a list of items so that you can cook from the house, so that you can prepare meals from the house, you will make a list of items that go together. If you want to make spaghetti, and of course, making spaghetti is a good one because it's a meal that will last more than one day if you make the right size amount. So if you want to prepare spaghetti, then you have to make sure you go there and get all the ingredients, everything that you need when you're going to make the spaghetti, whether it's the noodles, whether you're using beef, whatever type of meat, whatever you're going to use, the sauce, you name it, seasonings, however you're going to make it, you need to have all of the right stuff on that list so you don't forget something. If you forget one thing, then now you've already wasted money for the month because you're going to go back to the store and you just wasted more gas money. And of course, gas is going up in prices. Well, it has been for years. Gas is not cheap. That's my point. So make a list. And so that'll limit how much you have to go back and forth to the store for certain items. So keep that in mind. One of the things you can do is go ahead and make a list. And if you live in a house with, and it's more than just you, find out what other people may need from the store so that you all can save yourself some time and some gas money without having to go back and forth. Be on the same page about what the house needs, and everybody make a list together so that when you go, you can take less trips, save gas money. So what are you doing to prepare to keep your budget intact for the month of August? That's just one thing that you can do to keep your budget intact so that you can have a successful financial month. All right, what else can we do? Have you put anything into the savings account? A lot of people got paid on the first. Now, if we leave money sitting in our checking accounts unattended without an assignment, then it's easy for it to get spent somewhere. It's easy to make it look available. But if you have goals of saving money or building up your savings account or eliminating debt or investing, we need to go ahead and put that money to the side in a place so that it doesn't get spent accidentally. So that's another thing you can do to prepare yourself financially for this month is start putting funds to the side. If you want to have extra money in your savings and you're not sure if you're going to have enough at the end of the month, whatever that amount is, go ahead and put some of it, if not all of it, in the savings account now. Go ahead and transfer it out of sight, out of mind. Out of sight, out of mind. If you put it in a place where it's still available, you have access to it, then it's going to be harder and more difficult to meet that target that you're trying to reach. So go ahead, step out on faith, be confident, get your budget together, but also if you wanted to put the extra $50 a month in your savings account and you haven't yet, go ahead and put it there. If all else fails, worst case scenario, you can always transfer it back out if you need to. The goal will be to not do that, but if you had to, you can. So don't beat yourself up. Go ahead and try to do that now. So that's something you can go ahead and do. Go ahead and move money in a position to be useful for where you need it for now. Don't leave it in the checking account where it can easily go to waste, where it can easily be spent. Because if it's there, then you'll lose the confidence in what you really wanted to use it for. So make sure that we move things aside for our savings or to invest in or to eliminate debt. All right, what's our next one? The next step, the next principle that we can do to help out with our budget is make sure we count all possible expenses. The month of August is pretty tricky. So when it comes to financial literacy and setting your budget proper for August, you really have to be on your game. Prepping for August, the month of August financially, you really have to prep like 2, 3, 4 months in advance because it's too much going on in August. People are, wrapping up traveling and all the money you spent on your trip, and now you come back. And so bills still have to be paid, no matter how much you charged on that card during the summer to go on vacations and trips. And also, school starts up. So if you have children, if you have children, then there's school shopping, school prepping. If you have kids going to college, that's a whole different level of shopping and prepping and even more traveling because you may have to drop them off or you may have to give them funds to take their vehicle. There's all type of new expenses in the month of August that we have to prepare for. So you need to make sure you count the cost. Go through and find out, what does that child need for school? What does that young adult need when they go off to college? Have they prepared themselves financially for the expenses that they're getting ready to face? If they're getting ready to go off to college, you never know, because you have college tuition, you have money for books. So you need to really make sure that they actually prep their budget as well. So not only are you prepping your budget, but if you have college students, you have to make sure that they have their budget prepared as well so that they can manage money without you having to be there. And of course, if you have a child that's getting ready to go off to school, or if they're not even going off to school yet, they can be in high school and they watch everything on social media already. Have them subscribe to Coach Steele's finance training. What are they going to get here? Good fundamental financial literacy to help them as they get prepared to be young adults. So don't wait till they're too old and then they have to try to figure out how to budget on the fly. Get some young people in here on this YouTube channel. Let them listen in as you listen in, and we grow together as a team, and we grow together as a family and as a unit. So when I say count all possible expenses, I'm even talking about oil changes. Do you have an oil change coming up this month or next month? You need to start putting funds to the side so some of those things don't catch you off guard, whether it's time to change the oil or whether you have to change all tires or just one tire. Tires are expensive. So we need to start prepping for everything that may come up for the month of August. And so what are those out of those things that normally you wouldn't pay for in the month of August? I mean, every month, but in the month of August, you may have to pay for it, whether it's school uniform, school clothes, shoes, socks, folders, papers, pens. Make sure you make your rounds. If people are having any back to school rallies, if it's not too late, make sure you make your rounds and get some of that free stuff that people are donating and giving out to help you with your budget. Make sure that you're being very careful about how much you spend on clothes. You don't have to spend your whole budget on the child's clothes in the first month because they still have to go the rest of the school year and get items. And just remember, some of those children are going to grow out of those clothes. And so keep in mind, you need to pace yourself as you get ready to buy the clothes. Will they get everything they want? Maybe, maybe not. But if they don't let the peer pressure or their frustration cause you to go outside of your budget. Okay, what do we have next? So whether it's the school shopping or oil changes, you name it, we need to make sure that we get those things. And even things that might be out of the ordinary, just prepare for out of the ordinary things that may happen. And you need to have money set aside for those things as well. So keep that in mind as it is the first of the month. And another thing, when you're preparing a budget, something that's very important, let's say you work, you're not on salary and you work a 9 to 5 or you're used to getting overtime. One thing you have to be careful about is counting those eggs before they hatch. What do I mean by that? Counting your eggs before they hatch. Well, because you work a 9 to 5, there's not always a guarantee that you'll get the set amount of hours that you wanted, or something may come up where you don't get those hours, or they may tell you, hey, you can go home early. And so you didn't get the amount that you wanted, whether it's overtime or the same amount of hours. So when you're setting your budget, if you haven't gotten that overtime yet, if you haven't got that bonus yet, if you haven't gotten those extra hours, don't count it as income quite yet. Work with what is guaranteed. Work with what you know consistently. That's what you get month to month. If the extra comes in, if the bonus money comes in, if the overtime money comes in, then you can include that. And that's, like the cherry on top. That's icing on the cake. That's good that it came. But make sure you can creatively set your budget up as if it wasn't there. So, and make sure that you can function and maintain everything if the extra isn't there. So make sure you don't count eggs before they hatch. Otherwise, If it doesn't come, you're going to be disappointed. And so now you're trying to borrow money, you're trying to scramble, or we're adding extra money, expenses on that credit card that's already have expenses on it, already has bills, already has a balance on it, excuse me, that already has an unnecessary balance on it. And so now you get stuck with adding more on that credit card because you thought. And we don't want to go off of what we thought. We want to go off of what we know for a fact. So keep in mind, don't count your eggs before they hatch, because if they don't hatch, it will throw your whole budget off. Be disciplined, be focused, figure out how to work with what you have. Next, what else can we do besides, not counting our eggs before they hatch? Another thing you can do, and I got an example of counting your eggs before they hatch, actually, is another thing we can do to make sure that we stay on track with our budget is subscribe to Coach Steele's finance training on YouTube. Go to my YouTube channel, Coach Steele's Finance Training at Coach Steele Finance, and subscribe. And that will help you and guide you through the month of August, as well as we continue to meet up and go over financial literacy. Now, my example of counting your eggs before you hatch deals with my youngest son. So my youngest son got a job, I would say about a month ago, and he was excited. He was pumped. They get paid every Friday. So that first week, they loaded him up on the schedule. He got so many days. So he had this full schedule. He's getting all of these hours. He's happy. He's coming home. He's happy not to be home. He's happy to be at work, right? And so he tells me, Dad, next week after I get paid, I'm going to have enough money to buy my own whatever it is. I don't keep up with all these games, PS5, whichever it is, one of them. He was going to buy on his own, and he was going to save up, I don't know if it was $500 or $600. And I'm talking to him about opening up an IRA. Hey, you need to start putting money away for your retirement. You're making money now. You can start putting money into a Roth IRA so you can pay yourself in your future. You're young, so this money is going to grow through compound interest, and it'll be a lot of money as you get older. And he's focused on his next check. He's going to buy this game, this device. And the next week, he went from a full schedule to, I think he worked like 1 or 2 days, maybe 2. And then it was only for like maybe 4 or 5 hours each day. And it threw off his whole calculations of what he expected to have. So he ended up not having the amount of money he thought he would have. So he ended up having to adjust and not buy what he had planned on buying. And that's because he counted his eggs before they hatched. I do like the fact he was trying to make a plan to purchase something, but it just goes to show that when you work a 9 to 5, you never really know what that check will look like. So you really have to be very strict with your budget, your finances, and don't buy the gadgets and the unnecessary things. Take care of all your needs first. Take care of everything that's a necessity when you have those finance coming in, and then look at whatever's left over at the end of the month and then make the adjustments accordingly. So don't count those eggs before they hatch. And give yourself some wiggle room. That's another thing you can do for the month of August. Give yourself some wiggle room. Give yourself, in case, you never know, something may happen. You may end up having to spend more money on gas. You may end up having to buy something unexpected that you did not plan on buying. So give yourself some wiggle room, set some money to the side, off to the side, in case the unexpected happens as well. Another important thing that you can do to help you with your budget this month: get your budget out of your head and put it on paper, or put it on an Excel sheet, or put it on, not subscribe, but put your information on an app. Find a quality app, budgeting app, and use that. But get your budget out of your head from what you have up here and put it on paper, or put it on an Excel sheet, or find a good budgeting app to use. That way you have accountability, and it's not up here, but it's something visually that you can see, that you can look at and be accountable, so you can see where your money is going. If it's up here, anything can happen. You can forget something, but if it's on paper, if it's on an Excel sheet, if it's on an app, You have real live information in front of your eyes that you can make adjustments, that you can do whatever adjustment you need to make and analyze it. It's almost like, when you're writing a paper, and when you write the paper, you can be typing it out and you can turn it in, but that's not the best option. The best option is when you type that paper, the best option is to print it out and read it out loud, to hear what you wrote, to find what mistakes you possibly made so you can make adjustments and then turn that paper in. So that's why I said get your budget out of your head. Either put it on paper, put it on an Excel sheet, or get an app, a good budgeting app. That way you can double check your work and look at it and see what you're doing and where funds are going. So that's something else you can do to help you for the month of August as you prep your budget. So we have a few more, and I'm getting ready to get off. I know it is late. It is 9:34 Eastern Standard Time Zone over where I'm at. Not sure where everybody else is. Hopefully, these are some helpful tips to help you out with budgeting and financial literacy for the month of August. Some of these tips will be able to help you out. If you're just jumping in or you're just listening, make sure you go back and watch this and listen to it again. And so the last tip was get the budget out of your head and get it on paper, Excel sheet, or an app, or all of the above. I'm a little old school. I like writing all that stuff down on a piece of paper and doing the math and pulling out a calculator or seeing what math I can do in my head, then double check it with the calculator. So anyway, whatever your preference is, get comfortable with doing it, get used to doing it. And also just understand that have a sense of urgency of what your goals are. Have a sense of urgency of where you're trying to go with your budget for the rest of 2024. We have about 5 months left in the month of August. I mean, in the month of August. I mean, in the year of 2024. So we have August, September, October, November, December. So we have about 5 months left. 5 months left. And don't get discouraged and get frustrated if you're not on pace. What you need to do is subscribe to Coach Steele's Finance Training and allow us to help you get right back on track. Join the team, Coach Steele's Finance Training, on YouTube. Subscribe. If you're on Facebook, then follow me on Facebook. Every time I go live or every time I post a video, you will be alerted, especially on YouTube. That way you can jump in. Also, if you like gardening tips or you like seeing gardening and nature, I put a lot of videos on YouTube about gardening as well in my garden where I grow a lot of my own vegetables. So with 5 months left in 2024, set yourself up success and get into a consistent habit of preparing and budgeting on the first of every month to make sure that you're on track. Also, another important tip, especially for people who are contractors or they're self-employed or they have their own business, make sure you start putting those taxes to the side. Start putting those taxes to the side. You don't want to spend up all the money and then, how do I put this? And then when it comes tax time, you owe and you don't have the money to pay. If you start setting that money to the side, and if you set it to the side, put it somewhere where it can make money, a high yield interest savings account. At least it can make some interest while it's sitting to the side. So you don't spend it. Once again, out of sight, out of mind. You don't touch it. All that money that you may need to pay on taxes, self-employed or business owners, depending on how you have your taxes set up, get with your tax advisor and find out the best option. But you can pay them in advance or set the money to the side. Whatever you need to do, start thinking about doing that as we get close towards the end of the month. There's about 5 months left. So if you're behind, you can definitely have plenty enough time to catch up and set some of those profits off to the side so you don't owe Uncle Sam. Next, also, if you have your mortgage paid off and you have property taxes that you still have to pay, start sending those property tax money to the side. The property taxes, if you don't know what your property tax bill is going to be, then look up online and search your house and your address under the address, or either search your house property taxes, what you owe under your name in your county or in your city. Start finding out what that amount is. I believe that's important to talk about. That talking about setting money to the side for property taxes, if your properties are paid off, if your property is paid off, or if your mortgage payment doesn't have it set up in your escrows for your property taxes to be paid by your mortgage company, whoever holds your loan, it's important that we set that money to the side for our property taxes, or otherwise you'll get behind on property taxes. Does anybody know what happens if you get too far behind on your property taxes? If you know, write it in the chat on YouTube or write it in the comment section on Facebook. What happens if we don't pay those property taxes on that house? Yep, you got it. You're correct. If we don't set that money to the side and pay those property taxes like we need to, and we get too far behind, then they're going to be auctioning off. Well, I can't say auctioning, but there'll be a tax lien auction at the courthouse eventually, and someone will be bidding to eventually be a future owner or investor in your house. And so you don't want to lose a property just because you didn't pay property taxes and you didn't budget for it. If you have older ones, if you have loved ones and their mortgage is paid off, check on them. Make sure that they paid their property taxes, because they may be older in age and they may have forgotten about it. And we don't want them to lose their home. They're retired or they're unable to work, and all of a sudden they have to leave their house because they didn't pay property taxes. And now they have to find somewhere to live in their 70s, 80s, 90s over simple budgeting or someone just giving them a heads up and alert before it gets too far out of hand and no one in the family has money to donate or give to pay those property taxes. So that's a part of budgeting as well. And lastly, I'll leave with you all. Don't be nonchalant about your finances. Don't be non-intentional about your goals and what you're trying to accomplish. I keep telling everyone this. Everyone may be getting excited about the interest rates eventually coming down or whoever's going to be put in the office. I honestly believe no matter what's happening as far as the election, financially, things can still get more difficult for the average American. So understand what I'm saying, not for everyone, but for the average person. When we look at the different classes that they rank people in, whether they're below, whether they're poor, whether they're low income, average income, or just barely above average, a lot of people that fit in that mold, things financially, I believe, are going to get a little more difficult. I don't see rent prices going down in America. Rent prices are going up. So don't be fooled when they say that inflation is going down or inflation is slowing down. It's still inflating. It's just not going at a faster pace. So we still need to prepare for what is coming, and we still need to prepare and budget for the cost of living to increase. You still need to prepare for the cost of living to increase. I don't think things are going to get cheaper anytime soon. So just understand that you have to be prepared for what's coming, and it's vital. It's important that you prepare your finances. It's vital that you not be nonchalant, but that you be intentional. You be intentional about your budget. You be intentional about reaching your goals. You be intentional about increasing your level of financial literacy. And a lot of people, if you're wondering why I talk about budgeting so much and putting an emphasis on mastering your budget, it's because when you master your budget, let me tell you a secret. When you master your budget, it puts you in position to have a blast with investing. It puts you in position to have a blast at eliminating unnecessary debt, personal debt that's not bringing you in any cash flow. If you take the time to master your budget and be intentional about your finances, it opens up all type of doors and opportunities for you because you truly know what you're working with. You're able to take more risk when it comes to investing as well because you have home taken care of. Home base is taken care of, and you know you can be much more calculated when you start shooting at certain investments, when you start attacking certain debt, when you're trying to build cash flow, when you're getting ready to dive into real estate, you know what you can afford to do and what you can't afford to do, as of guessing or thinking in your head, oh, I don't know if I can handle that or not. This is real talk right here. You need to learn how to master your budget, master your finances. And what happens is the more you learn and the more you study, opportunities open up. Things that your eyes normally and your ears don't normally catch in the financial realm and in these financial systems of the world, you start catching things, you recognize opportunities, and you find opportunities to jump on cash flow opportunities, great investment opportunities, other opportunities to grow financially that you normally would not have caught, because you've decided to elevate your mind when it comes to your financial literacy level. Don't get complacent to where you are now. Don't get nonchalant. Don't think that it doesn't matter. It does matter. And what ends up happening is you get into such a comfortable place that you have an opportunity to help other people. You have an opportunity to provide service for knowledge, information, or even finances to other people that are less fortunate, people that don't have an opportunity to help themselves, especially young people, whether it's local or whether they're abroad. A lot of times on Facebook, people see me, you'll see me post about Cameroon, people that are less fortunate or don't have, or kids that are less fortunate and don't have, or whether you see me post about the Ivory Coast, the orphanage in the Ivory Coast. When you're able to master financial literacy, it gives you an opportunity to be a better giver, to help other people that may be in need, a message of hope that you can give someone else, simply because you decided to be a better steward of your finances. So even if you are nonchalant about it, be more intentional, because you never know who you can help. There's so many kids that need a new pair of shoes so they're not walking on the ground with their feet, so they're not struggling and feeling every rock under their foot. And so, or just to have a pair of shoes to wear to school, and they may walk an hour to school, 30 minutes to school. You never know. That extra $5 you're able to donate will buy a chicken or some other type of meat product for a family to have for a couple of days. It might be the only protein they get the whole week. It might be the only protein they get for the whole month. And so my point is, don't be nonchalant about your finances. Do it for yourself. And also you can do it for other people that are out there as well. So even if you don't need it, do it for someone else who does. And if you're ever looking for people to donate and give to that I've just described, feel free to reach out to me. I know plenty of them, and I'll make sure that they get the donation directly. 100% of what you give will go directly to those people that are in need. And I don't care if it's $5 or $10. That's more than enough to help them with the meal for a couple of days. So that'll buy them a lot of rice, or either it'll buy them some type of meat product, chicken or fish, for the family to be able to eat, and it'll go a long way. But I didn't get on here to give a soapbox about people who need in Cameroon or Ivory Coast. But my point is, if you get your budget together and there are nice things that you did want to do for other people, you'll know and you'll be able to find when the time is right for you to be able to do that. I want each and every person to make a concerted effort to get their budget where they need it to be for the month of August. And we continue to take this one step at a time. So what were quickly some of those things we needed to do? We need to stop what we're doing and get our budget prepared for the month of August. If we haven't put anything in savings, we need to put it in savings, out of sight, out of mind, so that we don't spend it. So we set things to the side for what we want to save or what we want to pay on later. Also, count all possible expenses, whether it's school supplies, school shopping, oil changes, all possible expenses. You know what it is. You got to pay your cell phone bill or electric bill. Find that estimate or that average that you've been paying on, water bill, all possible expenses. Write all of those things down so we'll know how much they are. And out of the ordinary, put some money to the side for something that may pop up unexpectedly. Like I said, you may end up having to take an extra trip. need an extra $50 in gas money. If you don't need it at the end of the month, then hey, you got extra money left over that you can use to put on another bill, debt, or invest. Give yourself wiggle room for those unexpected things. Get your budget out of your head and either put it on paper, Excel sheet, or use a good budgeting app. 5 months left in 2024. Don't get frustrated. Continue to stay on track. Put money to the side for taxes, whether you're business owner, self-employed, whatever it is, put money to the side so that you're prepared to pay what you need to pay. And also make sure you set money to the side for property taxes. So set money to the side for capital gains and also set money to the side for property taxes. And remember to call family, loved ones, or older people that may already have their mortgage paid off and make sure they paid their property taxes so that I'm not at the courthouse bidding on their property. Also, lastly, do not be nonchalant about reaching your financial goals. Be intentional in this season about reaching your financial goals. And don't be fooled by thinking just because interest rates go down or that inflation is slowing down, that things financially are going to get easier or things are going to become cheaper and more affordable. Things are going to get a little more difficult, and so we have to tighten up on our budget. I appreciate every single person that tuned in. And if you're late to watching this, go back and watch it again. I'm getting ready to sign off. It's almost 10 o'clock, and it is getting late over here on the East Coast. But I love each and every one of you, and I want to see you have financial success. Feel free to like, subscribe, comment, share this with someone, especially if you know they're going to try to borrow money from you this month. This is the perfect message for them. Share it to them with love. And hey, you may not have to add the money that you lend out in your budget. You can keep it for yourself and allow your money to grow for yourself instead of someone else. Once again, make sure you go to Coach Steele's Finance Training and subscribe. We're going to run it up. I need some more subscribers and all that good stuff. We're going to run it up. And before you know it, we're going to have like 1 million subscribers. And y'all will be a part of the team. And we're going to have some fun as we learn about financial literacy and grow our wealth together. I'm excited about it. Mark my words. Stay tuned and remember what I said. And then you can see me on the other side.